Well, the calls for Governor Andrew Cuomo to resign are growing louder with each passing day. So far, 58 out of 63 senators have called for his resignation as soon as possible.
So one of them, the Deputy Majority Leader, State Senator Michael Gianaris of Queens, he's been calling for the governor to resign since March. Senator Gianaris joins us this morning. Nice to have you back on Good Day New York.
Good morning, Rosanna.
So I know you and the governor don't always see eye to eye. That was very apparent during the Amazon deal, which you take credit for, killing. Now you're in last March, you're calling for him to resign. If you guys get the case in the state Senate, aren't you supposed to be impartial? I mean, like, how does that work out for the governor?
Sure, we'll listen to whatever evidence he presents. We'll be fair in that sense. But there's a lot that we already know. We have been hearing about these awful incidences since February or March, and we now have the AG's report to validate a lot of what these victims have said. And so we're allowed to have opinions as to what we already know, as everybody else in the state does. That doesn't mean that he won't get the opportunity to present his case if it comes to us, and he'll have the opportunity to change our minds.
So Brittany Camiso, who came out and talked about alleged groping from the governor, she says that there are, misinformation in the AG's report. How are you guys going to handle the AG's report?
Well, I don't think Brittany Camiso said there's misinformation. The governor's lawyers have suggested there's misinformation about that. And that will work the way any trial works in our country. Both sides will have the opportunity to make the presentations. The Assembly, if they impeach, will send over impeachment managers to make their case. And the governor will have his defense team to make their case. So we'll hear from both sides and we'll make our judgments accordingly.
I say you're making their judgments accordingly, but I mean, we understand this is a big waiting game. The Assembly has to wait to draft the articles. You guys have to wait another 30 days after getting them to do anything. But when we've interviewed a couple of Assembly members who have said publicly that nothing else can be introduced that's going to change their minds on whether the governor should resign or not, why the formality of going through all this and dragging it out when we know the majority of New York Assembly members and New York senators' minds are made up?
Well, we can call on him to resign. That doesn't mean we're not going to listen to the evidence and make our judgments. So the same thing happened in Washington. You had members of Congress when President Trump was impeached not once but twice, rendering their opinions before the actual impeachment and the trials. But that doesn't mean they're not going to be impartial and listen to the evidence. We know a lot, and we can make judgments based on what we know. Doesn't mean the other side doesn't get to make their case and won't be heard as well. In terms of the timeline, these processes are mandated by law. The Assembly has to draft and vote on articles of impeachment, and the Senate is required by law to wait 30 days to give the governor time to prepare his defense once he is impeached. And so the waiting game is just something that New York state law requires us to go through. I will say one other thing, because a lot of people, including myself, have called for the governor to resign based on these awful allegations of sexual misconduct that these brave women have come forward to talk about. But the Assembly is also looking at a host of other allegations against the governor, including misrepresenting the nursing home deaths and the bridge, Mario Cuomo or Tappan Zee Bridge, not being safe and concealing that data from the public. So they have a whole bunch of other things they're looking at that people have not necessarily rendered a specific opinion about just yet. So there's still some work to do there.
But you're coming off a pandemic. There's public policies and issues that need to be addressed. What suffers while your focus is on this, while the governor is not resigning?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one of the big reasons why so many of us are calling for him to resign quickly rather than putting us through this for the next couple of months. Because there's a host of things that we've done that people are relying on that are not getting done because the executive branch of government is paralyzed right now. We allocated over $2 billion to help people pay their rent who had loss of income during the pandemic over the last year and a half. We are the last state in the country in getting that money out the door. We established a $2 billion fund to help people with unemployment who were left out of the federal programs called the Excluded Workers Fund. That money is not getting out the door. I passed the bill called the HERO Act, which requires businesses to put in place procedures to protect their employees and their customers from the spread of COVID. And all it requires to go into effect is the Department of Health to certify that we are in a pandemic that's presenting a great danger to public health. We can't even get that done at this point. That should be simple. We can all agree COVID-19 is an unprecedented danger to public health. we can't get the Department of Health to certify that's the case to put that law into effect. So we are absolutely stuck right now because the governor and his team can't seem to do anything other than worry about the problems and the scandals that he's having.
Would you strike a deal with the governor? Would you encourage a deal with the governor? Because there's lots of talk that he is working behind the scenes with his people to work out something.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk of that yesterday. We're not aware of it. No one has approached us formally with any suggestion. I think the rumor was that he would not run again if we all back off. First of all, it's the Assembly that decides on impeachment. The Senate just stands trial, so maybe he's talking to them, although the Speaker denied that yesterday also. But I think we're past all of that right now. The governor just needs to resign. We know pretty much how this is going to go at this point. There's enough people, as you pointed out, in the legislature who are on record about what needs to happen. We could drag this out for several months and continue to hurt the people of the state because the governor refuses to let go of power. Or he can resign more quickly so we can get back to the work that we have to do.
Senator Gianaris, can we expect you to run for governor at some point?
No, I don't think so.
Come on.
I've got a lot on my plate right now. We're trying to get through a very tumultuous time. And
How about Attorney General?
Well, we'll see what the future holds, but for now, we've got some very important things to do over the next couple of months because the state is in a very precarious situation.
Seems like Attorney General might be more in the cards.
You're just trying to make trouble, Roseanne.
He can neither confirm nor deny.
I know. State Senator Michael Gianaris, thank you so much for coming on Good Day.
Thank you, guys.
All right, bye.